Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, kjradio.com. Glad you're with me. We're going to be talking about delusion today. Yeah, there's a saying, when all else fails, there's always delusion. And what I've learned is that we all must have some form of delusion in order to survive. So let's just put that out there. We all suffer delusions. Some people suffer more than others. Delusions of grandeur comes to mind. And, think about something you've wanted out of life. You said, I'm going to be a professional ball player. It may not have come to fruition, but it made you a better ball player. Those delusions help you to some degree, but there comes a point where reality sets in for you as an adult, and you say, you know what? I no longer can live under delusions. I have to really back up what I say. One of the things I talk about to any youngster, people that I train, I say, look, it's okay for you to dream big. Go big or go home. It's like Donald Trump. He says, yeah, I'll be president. If I want it, I'll be it. I remember as a kid saying that. I believe in my heart to this day, if I'd set my mind on it, I would have become president of the United States. Now, you could say, Kevin, you were delusional. I don't believe that for a second. I believe it. And I believe that whatever I choose to do now, based on good, solid, hard work and, work ethic and principles I've learned throughout my life, I can achieve. But I'm not going to be delusional about, for example, saying I'm going to go make the Olympic team in something. I'm not. I understand my limitations at some point. Now, there are many of you out there going, Kevin, seriously, president? Come on now. Yeah, I could have been president. There's no question in my head. I remember when Barack Obama was elected and everybody was excited and they were like, man, I remember somebody saying to me, Kevin, did you ever think you were going to see this day, man, where a black man was president? And it was like one of my family members or somebody or a friend. And I was like, yeah. And they looked at me like, really? And I was like, yeah, I did. In fact, at one point in life, I thought it might have been me. But then I decided I didn't want that job. I found out what they paid. And I was like, nah, I can do better. True story. Now, whether I could or I couldn't, well, no, you may say, Kevin, you are delusional, but I don't believe so. But here's what I can tell you. When it comes to what impacts my life, I'm a realist. I look at everything through the prism of reality. What's its impact on me? What's its impact on others? Is it good? Is it good for everybody? I'm willing to even give up a little something because of my delusion, me saying, yeah, I don't need to do it all for me. I don't need to be selfish about it. I was going to use delusion, but I didn't need to use it there. Oh, man. Michael Crichton said this about delusion. He says, we are stubborn, self-destructive conformists. Any other view of our species is just self-congratulatory delusion. He says we all conform. And to some degree, he's right. We conform to societal norms. We all say we want our kids to be educated. Where the delusion sets in is, are they being educated? We all want to help our fellow man. The world. There's hardly anybody in the world who would disagree with this. But the real fact of the matter is the majority of the world does not help its fellow man. And let's just keep it on a state side. If you believe that Democrats are truly interested in helping their fellow man, then ask them, why are they so vitriolic against conservatives? Why is it that when the Democrats say they want to help, it's always financial help, and it rarely involves their money, and involves the money of conservatives, the people that they have disdain for? Why is that? Because the fact is, Democrats live under the delusion that they really do want to do good things for people. They believe, I really do want to help women in the war on women that doesn't even exist. That's an illusion and an illustration of their delusion. They claim they want to help kids, but they support pedophiles. They are the world's worst parents. They don't care about kids in foster care. I know a ton about this stuff at the grassroots level where you get kids adopted. I know who's adopting them. And I know the reasons they adopt them. When a Democrat adopts a kid, they want a kid to be white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired, or whatever. You know, when a conservative wants a kid, they say, what kid needs to be adopted the most? Which one's been here the longest? I know the questions they ask. Leftists don't. They want the perfect little baby. They don't want that kid that you go, now look, mom was a crackhead, kid was born with an addiction. Oh, I think I'm going to walk away from that. But the conservatives will say, absolutely, that's the one we'll take. Which one needs the most help? So I know these people's delusions. They have delusions of grandeur. Why do you think we're talking about all this Harvey Weinstein stuff, all this Holly weirdo stuff, these sexual predators? Why do you think that is? Because these people have delusions of grandeur. They believe they can make it. They're willing to do anything. I'm not telling you that some people don't. They do. But there are many people who get left on the wayside, lost in their delusions, and Hollywood preys on them. How many of the people that don't make it do you think went to talent agents and acting classes, and people were like, just said, if you want to come here and bring me your money, I'll take it. But let me tell you, you're not going to be any good at this. There you go. Delusions. And the left is full of them. And one of their biggest delusions is that you're the bad guys. We, conservatives, we're the bad guys. Biggest delusion on the planet. The delusion they have is that Barack Obama was an intelligent president who did good. Their delusion is that Donald Trump is an unintelligent president who doesn't know what he's doing. In fact, they say he's criminally bad at his job. Some say he's mentally unstable to do it. That's their delusion. Ask me any question you want on any topic you have comparing Barack Obama to Donald Trump, and I'll show you their delusion. We've talked about it all week. This is going to be, by the way, a catch-all show. One that we just talk about lots of different topics. A hodgepodge, if you will. I want to talk about sex robots even, because there's some delusion in that. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by a point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. Carl Sagan said that. The delusion of man to believe he's it. He's the authority. Now, I'm not talking about extraterrestrials. I'm talking about God. And I could go on there. We got a ton to discuss today. I'm anxious to go through some things that we've been wanting to get to and haven't been able to. So bear with us. It's going to be a fun show. You're listening to The Kevin Jackson Show. kjradio.com back up.
This is The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, kjradio.com. Glad you guys are with us. We're talking about the delusions of the left. There are many. They believe themselves to be smart. And what I figured out is I figured out the game of how they play this smart game, right? Here's what they do. They say, hey, I got an Ivy League degree or a Harvey League degree. I've got an Ivy League degree and you've got a regular degree. So my school is better than yours. I must be smarter than you. That's the game they play. And what's funny, and you guys have heard me talk about this, they go out and they get the best students on the planet. They recruit them because they've convinced them that you get this degree, you're great. So these students go to those schools. They make their professors better. They make everybody around them better for the most part. And they're already bright. So it's just this, it's a feeding frenzy of goodness, right? And so they're bright. Everybody's bright. Everybody improves. You could take those kids. In other words, you give me Harvard's incoming freshman class. I don't want the minorities. I want the kids that earned it, whatever color they are. And I'll put those kids in a state school. And that state school will improve dramatically in year one. And in a decade, you won't even be talking about Harvard. It's not because of the professors. Let me tell you what happens. Those kids go to those colleges, these bright kids. They change the way these professors think, and then the professors evolve, and they teach better and better and better, and they hone their skills and they get better. But the kids go out in the world, the brightest kids go out in the world and they do something. And Harvard takes credit for it, as if they did something for those kids. Let me tell you something about the student body at Harvard. More of those kids, and I'm talking about Ivy League in general, more of those kids contribute to that school than they get from it. MIT is an amazing school. They got geniuses teaching there. But trust me when I tell you, geniuses go there and they challenge those professors. I'll give you a real story. In my college, I love telling this story. I hope Lloyd's listening. I have a friend. I'm not going to say his last name, but he is a rocket scientist. He was up for Rhodes Scholar. And Lloyd, I thought Lloyd was like a dummy. He wore leather pants. He was skinny, had a real rocker haircut. And I guess you could describe Lloyd as good looking. No offense, Lloyd. I didn't look at you that way. I know Diana was sitting next to you and she was the hottest girl in engineering school. So that said something for you. And I remember Lloyd came to class one day with a black eye and he says, yeah, I went to the Golden Gloves. And I'm thinking, who would ever think this guy could fight? But he got a black eye. So there you go. So I don't know whether he did good or bad, but just the fact that he went, it really surprised me. So long story short, Lloyd is I didn't realize it at the time, but he would just sit in the back of the room and go, every time we ask a question, he was frustrated. He was frustrated. And so I had a class in my graduate years, I had a class with Lloyd, and he showcased his brilliance because they let us work in teams, and Lloyd worked solo because he just felt like we would slow him down, I guess. And it was the brightest guys in engineering class, the guys that made it, got our double E, BS double E's, and we were working on masters. And I'm thinking, we're all bright guys, and we were A students, everybody there. And Lloyd refused to work with anybody. He was like, I'll go on my own. And this is truly one of the toughest classes I ever took. So we would work in teams, and we only had to answer, I think, 3 questions out of 10. That was a good grade for the homework. That's how tough it was. It used every bit of our math skills, our engineering skills, our physics, you name it. So we do these things, and we come back after the first assignment, and we're proud. Me and my team were proud. We've answered 4 questions. And the professor asked how many answered, 2, everybody raised their hand, 3, everybody raised their hand, 4. It's only a couple of us, 5, Lloyd's hand, 6, Lloyd's hand. Finally, the professor just said, anybody answer more than Lloyd? So we were like, BS. There's no way. You didn't even have enough time. If you had a regular load in class, you couldn't have answered more than 4 questions. So at the end of this class, before I say that. So the professor goes through the questions, the ones that everybody, who got this one, and he worked it out, and everybody, oh, okay. And so he worked every question. Well, he got through us pretty quick. So then he says, well, let's go ahead and go through the rest of them so you guys can see how you should have solved for them. So he's going through that. And he and Lloyd end up arguing about, what the process is. And I'm going, Lloyd, he really does know this material. So the professor finally you could see he's frustrated because Lloyd has gotten him. Lloyd is like, no, you can't assume that. And he's just explaining it. And it dawns on me then why this dude was sitting in half my classes snorting because he was so bored. So it turns out he was up for Rhodes Scholar. Now, I'm telling it, to be honest with you, I kind of forgot why I was telling the story for a second there. But here was my point. Lloyd could have gone to any school. Any school. If he'd gone to MIT, he would have been brilliant there. If he'd gone to Caltech, he would have been brilliant. Now, he would have been around other brilliant kids or whatever, and they would have all gotten together and come up with different things. I'm telling you, it is the students who make these colleges what they are. It is not these professors. That's not to say the professors are not rock stars. Many of them are. When you're MIT, you finally are going to hire the best of the best. But I'm telling you, I could make an MIT out of a state school if I just took the next 10 years of the students that they are going to bring to that school. If I took those students and I put them in regular colleges, those colleges would rival MIT within a decade. So the ruse, the delusion of education is that you're going there and you're getting educated. Maybe the average student, but ask yourself this question. Why is it that colleges and universities have gone away from STEM classes and have decided they're going to make people into social justice warriors and all these humanities and things where you have to interpret things? The reason is they can't teach you. They don't even want to teach you. Most of these school teachers, that starts out as a labor of love, but it gets too difficult because too many of these kids are incorrigibles. They don't want to learn. They get to college and they say, why do I have to follow rules? Go, get grades and do these things to get my grades. Why can't I just, get my grade the way I want to get my blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about. And the colleges capitulate. And that's why we are where we are. It is a delusion. Give me your topic. Give me education. It is a delusion. The idea that this country truly is interested in the student is a lie. If they were, they would have changed the way we do education decades ago. I remember seeing a movie, Waiting for Superman. They say it's a failure factory is what these schools are. They don't teach. It's antiquated methods based on an industrialized society. And you're just going to need these factory drones, these workers that do nothing except what you tell them. It isn't about a thinking man society anymore. And that's our problem. But the left wants to convince you that no, education is important. We stress it, yada, yada. No, they don't. It is one of the left's delusions, a grand delusion. And that's what they use every time they want to get your money.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. Oh, I needed that break. Boom. I'm just thinking about what we're going to talk about. And, it's funny. Barack Obama, we will never forget this guy. How you think about him will change over time. For us, it isn't going to be a big swing because we already knew who he was. He was a worthless, he's the most worthless president ever. The big swing is going to come on the left. The more they learn about Barack Obama, this year he will be exposed as a fraud, but soon he'll be exposed as an imbecile. I mean, to me, he already has. I think they know it. And in fact, I know many of them do. They don't want to admit it. But the fact is Barack Obama is a fraud. He's, his policies didn't work. He didn't know how to implement them. He was a puppet in many cases, and it was evident. And I'm telling you, there are signs that you can see that Barack Obama isn't all that the left believe him to be. You just got to look for him. Now, keep in mind, a complicit media, The deep state continues to work on his behalf. A lot of people live on muscle memory of Barack Obama. There are some who remain enablers that will help him no matter what. And there are some who are just guilty, and they still continue to support him because they still want to believe that America's a racist country and he didn't get a fair shake for this or that. Let me ask you this question. Who do you think has been fought harder in the media and in government in his first year? Donald Trump or Barack Obama? Who took who did the media support more? Did they support Obama? Did they support Trump? You know the answer to that. It's a rhetorical question. Of course they supported Trump more. Nah, I'm kidding. They supported Barack Obama more. We know this. You look at Barack Obama's policies. If Donald Trump had had the first year one that Barack Obama had, we would be yelling through the rafters. I know I would. Unemployment at 11%. Even if Donald Trump couldn't drop unemployment, if it only ticked up 1 point, I'd be mad. If Donald Trump couldn't get the stock market to grow, I'd be mad. If the jobs report was only at equilibrium, let's say he's only creating 100,000 jobs a month, I'd be mad. If he wasn't able to get China to do whatever, I'd be mad. I could go on. Barack Obama's unemployment was in the 8 or 9% range. I don't know. I've seen 11.2 after year one. He lost 5 million jobs. We were well on our way to losing our credit rating. I don't know how many trillion in debt we were, but we certainly had added at least $1 trillion, if not $1.5 trillion of debt to the economy. And this after he got $787 billion from Bush. And I could go on. But the left didn't treat him. They treated him like, he inherited a mess. What are you going to say? Oh. And they leave him alone. If Donald Trump had the year Barack Obama had, we would all be calling for it. He couldn't get anything accomplished. We'd be calling for his head on a platter. All of us. But we knew it would work. We as conservatives go, he'll get it done. We know he will. The left go, no, he won't. And they fought him. And they continue to fight him tooth and nail. He's not even on his full year yet. And he's rock star status. 2 million jobs created, blah, blah. You know all the different things that are going on. Do I really need to go through them? So you have a tale of two different guys. One who hasn't complained, other than saying the media they're liars. He doesn't complain about the media in the sense that they're not letting me accomplish my agenda. He just says they're a bunch of liars, and they are. Unquestionably, they're a bunch of liars. So again, I asked the question, who's getting treated with kid gloves? We already know. Yet, the delusion on the left is Barack Obama is competent. He was amazing. He showed well. Do you hear how he spoke? And on and on. The delusion he's a good president. And then the further delusion that Donald Trump, an accomplished billionaire who graduated from Wharton, he's scum. Why would we follow him? Why would we listen to him? And even in the face of proof, truth, what do they say? Same thing. He's unhinged, unfit. How so? These are delusions. And we let them get away with this. We let them get away with the delusion that Barack Obama is a solid guy. But let me tell you something. They know he's not. And this is what I want to focus on for just a second. They know he's a scam artist. The left's Kenyan native son is falling out of favor. I'm telling you he is. Why are you looking at me like that? I can say Kenyan. I'm black. By the way, I'm Nigerian. So don't mess with me. I'm 23% Nigerian. I'll get in your face, my friend. No, that sounded Middle Eastern. That's all right. I'll work on my Nigerian accent. I don't know which group I'm with, whether I'm Igbo or whatever. I'll find that out and I'll let you guys know. What, I can't mention ethnicity? I'm a black man on my own radio show. Don't tell me what to do. Not to mention, you don't tell me what to do anyway. Not only will the left not mention Barack Obama's ethnicity, soon they're not even going to want to mention him in any form. And the University of Chicago is a good example. That's what I want to talk about right now. More than 100 members of the University of Chicago faculty have asked the Obama Foundation to move the proposed library honoring the 44th president to a new location. Now, I want you to think about that for just a second. Obama's going to build his library there. He's a favorite son. The University of Chicago, a place that he hails as his, adopted home. And the faculty there, over 100 faculty members. Now, do you think they got 100 conservatives there? 100 faculty members are going, look, you need to move this. And here's the reason why. They say it's socially regressive. I'd love to give you a better reason, like, it's taking up too much space, or, Barack Obama's an idiot. And no, they say it's socially regressive. Now, I believe that's code. We'll get to that in a second. Here's what they went on to say, this article. The Obama Presidential Center will not provide the, quote, promised development or economic benefits to surrounding neighborhoods, the professors write, and could cost more than $100 million in state funds. If I had asked God to write that for me, no offense, God, but could he do it any better? This is exactly what Obama represents. He represents promised development and economic benefits that don't come to fruition. And oh, by the way, here's my $100 million price tag on top of it. The letter reads this: we are concerned that these are not the best ways to use public funds to invest in the future of Chicago. They don't see former President Barack Obama as an investment in the future of Chicago at the University of Chicago. Now, let me tell you, 9 years ago, they would have been trying to rename that chump University of Chicago Obama, if not calling it the University of Obama. That's how much they believed in this clown. I didn't look up any articles on it. I'm just telling you what my feelings are. And then they tell you why. Because he's socially regressive. That library is socially regressive. That's a nice way for the university to say, we've done all we're going to do for your legacy. Now the article continues. The library will take over large sections of two historic public parks, Jackson Park and Midway Plaisance, and force the closure of a major South Side thoroughfare, Cornell Avenue. The professors argue it's a, quote, traffic jam in the making. Now, an Obama Foundation spokesperson said the library will bring hundreds of thousands of people to the South Side every year and will, quote, strengthen the economic climate in the region. That's how they sold it to them. While we don't expect everyone to agree with every element of the plan, we look forward to working with people across the community and the city to make the most of the opportunity to create a global destination that will showcase the South Side to the world. They put this thing where Leroy Brown used to get beat up. Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. There's a library in downtown St. Louis. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful building outside, and you go inside and it's even more beautiful. It's that old school architecture, man, gorgeous. And you know what you do when you go there? You got to fight through homeless to get into the building. I'm not exaggerating. And if it's cold, they wait by that door. The moment that library opens, they come in and they've got, places to lounge and sit and all that. They come in, they sit down, they stay there all day. It's a funk fest getting to your books. Now, most of them stay in one area. I've been in there quite a few times, but it's in this one area. But it can get rank in that room, especially in the summer when it's really hot. It's ugly. So Obama's received other slaps in the faces, though, like when Hawaii wanted to rename one of their beaches. I think it was Sandy Beach. They wanted to call it Barack Obama Beach, and nobody was having anything of it. Chang had heard from a congressional staffer that Obama often spoke fondly of body surfing on that beach as a teen. When he read the interview in which the president described his ideal day as one spent at the Oahu beach, he says it was almost a prose poem. And yet, Hawaii didn't want it, so it stayed the same.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Leftists will lie to your face. They will have no shame in doing it. They don't care. They don't care if they're lying to you about global climate change and the hockey stick BS. They don't care if they're lying to you about unemployment numbers under Barack Obama. They don't care if they're lying to you about crime committed by illegals or the idea of illegals being cost positive to our economy. It doesn't matter. They will lie. Period. And they do it in order to get whatever they want done, because when they can't support the delusion that they live in, they just change the way the worldview is. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, kjradio.com. I'm tough on leftists, but I'm not tough on them because I'm trying to be entertaining or any other reason. I'm tough on them because they're liars. Any more than when you know somebody. Yeah, you got a kid. When your kid lies to you, doesn't it just it breaks your heart, number one, but it makes you mad because you say, I don't teach you to lie. You may actually lie yourself, but you know it's not good. Generally speaking, it's better to tell the truth. I'm not saying, does this dress make me look fat kind of lie. I'm saying when it matters. When you're talking about public safety. Oh, this racial profiling of black people, just that by the police officers, that is a lie. The police profile based on the pattern of activity that's happening, a pattern of crime. That's the only thing they profile based on. And so if there's a pattern of crime, they profile. If they send out a bolo, be on the lookout for a black guy, 5'11" with, dreadlocks. They don't go looking for white female nuns. They go looking for who they're supposed to look for. But we allow the left to tell us the delusion that the police are out there profiling. They're doing this, just because they don't like blacks. They're doing it because they want to go home to their families like everybody else. They're doing it because that's who's committing the crimes. I promise you, if nuns start committing crimes in mass numbers, you will watch the police shift and the squad room will be, now listen, you need to be on the lookout for these nuns. I mean, I don't understand what it is, but there's something going on in the nun community. And they'll flip on a dime. They don't care. They got a job to do. Unless you are into one of these leftists that doesn't really care if anybody gets arrested. I mean, look, if we want to have a lawless society, why even bother to have cops? But if you're going to have them, let them use their training. These guys, they feed you wrong information, and then they hold it against you. Because if you knew the statistics that almost 50% of the crime is being committed by 6% of the population, young black teenagers, it's really about 3%. Teenager black kids between the ages of 15 and 30, which I know is not teenagers, but I'm saying young blacks. And it's young black men mostly. But you say that and you're racist. You're profiling. How dare you? How dare I? Math? Statistics? Observation? I told you guys many stories. I was walking my dog one day, had him out going for a jog. I don't know, 3-4 black teens that, I don't know whether to be honest with you, that they look like they were going to college. Doesn't matter to me. I'd say they were 18 to 25. And you know what I did? I had a weapon on me. And I literally, kept jogging. I looked them dead in their faces as they walked by, so they knew I made eye contact. And I had my hand behind, running to my side where I could get to my weapon. I didn't have a gun, by the way. No, I had a martial arts weapon. But I had my hand ready to get my weapon. That's what I run with in my neighborhood, because you never know what you're going to run into. That's it. And they looked at me. I looked at them like, y'all want to start something? I promise you it ain't going to go your way, because my dog will get you too. He's going to be enough of a distraction that I promise you, you're going to be reading about 4 young brothers that got jacked up but good. And of course, nothing happened. Went on my merry way. I profiled. And they profiled me, I guarantee you, because I did not have the look of fear in my face. I had the look of, you jack with me, it won't go your way. And like I said, nothing happened. But I don't feel bad telling that story. And I know there are a lot of, black folks who will listen to the program, leftists. Oh, Kevin, you're out there telling white folks this about black. I'm telling you what I did. I don't care what you do. If you want to be one of those victims, you feel free. But I'm not going to be a victim by not making eye contact, letting you know I'm ready for a fight and saying, let's do this. And if it offends you, you know what? Get your young brothers to stop doing stuff. I'll look at you and go, hey, Bill, how's it going? The way I pass my neighbors now, which are a bunch of white folks. What's up, Bill? Hey, Kev. Hey, Brad. I don't run with a weapon in the new neighborhood. But I might, just in case. So you get what I'm saying? But they want you to believe the lie. They want you to believe the delusion. They want you to believe that illegals come over here and they're good, solid citizens. They're hiding under the radar. They're very afraid to do anything. And even when things happen in their culture, they don't want to tell us because they don't want to get arrested. And Let me tell you something. The statistics against illegals would floor you if you knew them for real. If leftists knew them for real, they would not be fighting. There wouldn't be very many leftists fighting to keep them here. Non-citizens represent 8.4% of the adult population in this country. Non-citizens. That's a big bite of the pie. That means 8.4% of this population potentially isn't working, but is on the, has some part of the dole. They're going to the hospital, possibly on welfare, likely have kids who are in our school systems and so on and so forth. That's 8.4% of the adult population in this country. But get this. Those non-citizens represent 42.4% of the federal kidnapping convictions. That's sex trafficking. That's kidnapping for ransom. They represent 8.4% of the non-citizens in this country represent 31.5% of the drug convictions. Who are they trying to compete with? Young black men? 8.4% of the non-citizens in this country, the adults, represent 23% of the money laundering. That's right. Drug trade, trying to get that money out of the country, whatever. That's what they represent. 8.4% of the adult non-citizen population, illegals, represent 13.4% of witness tampering. In other words, I don't know if you've ever had a witness tampering. That is a very scary thing for you to be a witness to an MS-13 or some gang-related thing, and you put your life on the line because of these non-citizens. All these great people that have come over here looking for opportunity, as the left want to present to you, that are not committing crimes at the level that we're talking about here. Go look at a report prepared by leftists, and you'll see them say, no, the non-citizens in America, they don't commit as much crime as the citizens in America. That is a bald-faced lie. I'm giving you the actual numbers. Of the 8.4% adult population of non-citizens, illegals, they commit almost 18% of the larceny and fraud. These are the credit card scams and the police benevolence fund and all that kind of crap. They commit 9.6% of the assaults, and the only thing they're on par with and this is not good. They commit 8.9% of the homicides in this country. So they're almost on par with their numbers in terms of homicides. Now, these are not counting immigration, which is a crime, illegal immigration, which is a crime in and of itself. So for these guys, the left, to present these folks to you as though they're solid citizens is nonsense. Now, you could look at the situation and say, well, why are they doing this? Are they committing identity theft in order to work? Probably. But you know what? If they weren't here illegally, they would not have to commit identity theft. So don't tell me, oh, they're doing that for this reason. You can work under the radar for cash if you want in any country. Oh, but Kevin, they get taken advantage of. Well, then be legal. See, there's always an answer for the conservative side. Be legal. I wouldn't go to a country, sneak in, have to work under the radar for cash, be taken advantage of, because I'm telling you, I'll probably be one of the homicides. Committing one. Is somebody not paying me my money? Yeah, I'm going to get my money up in here one way or the other, okay? So I'm going to go do it the legal way. Why would I come over there and put myself in that kind of jeopardy? I want people to know I'm going to be part of the culture. I want to be part of the culture. You cool? You cool? I'm cool. So these people lie. They lie through their teeth, all to convince you of something that is a delusion. But it's, you know what? It's worse than a delusion because they know it's a lie. I got to leave it there. We'll be back.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, kjradio.com. Glad you're here. Look, I'm gonna make a declaration here for 2018. I'm putting it out there for the affiliates and everybody. This is the year. This is the year that either this radio show breaks through, does what it's supposed to do, or in 2019, I won't do this show. Now, it's not a threat. I enjoy doing the show. I do. And we've made lots of progress. And we have things in the hopper. But I'm telling you right now, I've made the decision that this is where the end of the line is to the end of 2019. If we haven't gotten, a national deal, or we haven't expanded to the degree that I think makes us successful. So that's on you. And our team's going to work our butts off. We're going to produce a show for you every day through the end of this year. We're going to be on the air doing things. I'm going to bring on guest hosts. We're going to introduce new people to you. We're going to change the format. We're going to do a lot of really cool things. But I'm telling you, you have to help. It's the same way that if I had started when I was in my media room and decided I was going to do this, and I made the decision. I said, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be, all in or nothing. And fortunately, we made it happen. The website kicked off. We did well. TV stuff is going well. I just renewed with Fox. I believe Fox will do something with me this year in a bigger role. I don't know what that is right now. And, it's all God's plan. But God wants us to work hard. And it's not like he's saying, I'm just going to, make it happen. For whatever reason, he's put us down through this path. And radio is a very circuitous one. And he's saying, keep at it. But I'm telling you, as listeners and the partaking of what we do here, it's really up to you. And I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for all the good things you guys did that said, we love what you're doing on Fox, Kevin. We love what you're writing and how bold it is and so on and so forth. Well, it's the same with radio. And I'll be blunt. We don't know what we're doing. That's what's fun, so scary about it. If I were doing it right, if I had the right team, and I don't mean this any disrespect to my team that helps us produce the show, because we're good at that. But if we had the right distribution network, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But I got to get this team paid. And I have people who have invested years with me. So here's the deal I'm going to make you. If you want to help with this show, contact us and say, Kevin, I'm going to find people that want to help develop the show, that want to contribute. contribute dollars, contribute time, contribute effort. We're going to put together a team to do that because we have the better part of a year to do it. Because if we don't do that, our team can focus on video. We can focus on a lot of other things where I can retool these guys and we can go do something better. The reason why I like radio, I love the idea of how far we can push this message. Now with the digital footprint, it's even better. And I'm watching, people, and again, I never what's the word I'm looking for? I don't regret or I'm not jealous of anybody that's out there doing their thing. I think it's wonderful that people tap into other resources and figure things out. And I'll use Ben Shapiro as a good example. Ben has figured out something operationally that I don't know because I'm too busy doing a bunch of other stuff. And he's banking. He's pushing out his message, the Ben Shapiro message. He's on college campuses, does more interviews than anybody I've ever seen. Writes prolifically, has the Daily Wire, etc. We promote his stuff on my Facebook page. But I'll tell you this, Ben's no better at this than we are. And in fact, my sphere of reference in terms of Ben Shapiro's is monumentally bigger. It just is. I'm older. I understand race politics better and so on and so forth. Not taking anything away from him. He is a brilliant kid. Like him. Okay? But we can't figure out what he's doing. I'm not really trying to. And I know that sounds trite, but it's true. We don't have the time to look up. We are so busy. And I know it's a terrible thing to say, but we don't have the operational types. We have people that are so busy. They're trying to keep on to their careers. They're betting on the idea that Kevin Jackson and this team can get them to the next level. And I've been carrying that burden now for 5+ years. And, I've talked to the team. They get it. They're all in. We most of us are like, yeah, let's do this, and we're looking and we're strategizing every day. But we need your help. It's that simple. And I'm not one of these guys too proud to go, oh, well, everything's going great, man. Everything's going great in the standpoint of we have never wavered in the message, and we never will. Whenever my voice stops, whatever day that is, it won't be because we weakened in the message or whatever. It will be because I have looked at my time and I've said to myself, I can't do this by myself. If people aren't willing to get in there and roll up their sleeves and help us to do it, then so be it. I got a movie coming out in March 30th of this year, Bleeding Blue. Go to bleedingbluemovie.com. That movie's coming out. And let me tell you, Kevin Sorbo and others, we are already looking at the next projects. I may be moving into Hollywood stuff. As funny as that sounds, it's true. And you're going to love this film. You're going to love it. If you go see it, it's going to blow your mind. I was talking to people about some of the interviews we have with police officers, and they're like, Kevin, stop it. And I'm telling you, I'm not telling everybody these clips, but you're going to be blown away at what these police tell you, these interviews. So get ready for a ride. But you know what? That comes out in March. I'm speaking all over the place right now. In fact, KYKN, we're working with I think it's called the Dorchester group up in Salem. I'm going to have all the details around that, but I'm going to be speaking there in March. I'm speaking at the Horowitz Institute at 2 events for that. I've got an event for education in St. Louis. I'm going to be in South Carolina at the Tea Party convention there. So we have a lot of stuff going on, and it's tough for us to as a team because we just don't have that operational piece. So we rely on you, and I'm not blaming you guys by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying if you want to hear my voice and this team to be part of what the lexicon of politics, or I should say whatever you want to call it, the dynamics of politics, then you got to help us because we can't do it by ourselves. Anyway, I want to talk about Chelsea Handler. She says, I spent the day with a ski guide in Canada who pays $14 a month for insurance, health insurance. If you make under $35K a year, you get free health care. What she meant to say is, what is the F wrong with our country when we can't take care of our own people? And I want to answer that question when we come back. Because in typical fashion, Chelsea Handler doesn't know what she's talking about because she's a typical liberal.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Not going to spend a lot of time on this Chelsea Handler thing, but I do want to talk about it because she said she was in Canada, spent the day with a ski guide. By the way, I don't know what she did because she probably wasn't skiing, if you know what I mean. But she says he pays $14 a month for health insurance. And then she goes on to say, if you make $35,000 a year, your health insurance is free. What's wrong with our country when we can't take care of our own people? Now, I don't want to get into this whole thing of everybody's got health insurance in America, and even indigent care is better than what's in Canada. Chelsea Handler doesn't even realize that many Canadians come to America to get their health care. One of my buddies, Stephen Crowder, Stephen said to me, it took 6 months to get a blood test. You could be dead. You know how many blood-borne diseases there are? 6 months to get a blood test. And people are coming here. But here's what was funny. She didn't say, hey, everybody's got health insurance. He pays $14 a month. I was at the hospital with him and he got care that blew my mind. She didn't say that. What she said was, he told me what he pays for health insurance, and it was like, whoa. And I'm going, okay, so if you go to the hospital with him and he gets some Cadillac treatment and you go, man, this dude broke his leg. He was in the emergency room. They had a doctor see him within 5 minutes. That leg was set and cast and it was all good. Then I go, whoa, that's awesome. But that's not what's going to happen. If you've got diabetes or you've got some disease that you go in and you need to get screening and all that, ask him how long he has to wait. This is a ski instructor. He's probably in pretty good shape. In fact, do this, Chelsea. Go to the hospital instead of just conjecture. And I was talking to a guy while I was up on in BAM skiing, and he told me this. Go to the hospital and go hang out with the indigenous and see what they go through. Go talk to people on the street and say, hey, have you been to the hospital here? What's it like? See, this is what Democrats do, leftists do. They come in with all these half-baked notions about things. Nobody in this country pays for health care. Let me tell you, go to Canada, break your leg as an American and get it covered. Go to Bangladesh and break your leg and see what happens. Go to Mexico. Let me tell you what they ask you. Where's your money? In America, something happens to you. We don't have to know you, know where you're from. You could be a terrorist, have been blown up, trying to blow up people that say, I don't know, the Boston Marathon, and we will treat you and send the taxpayers the bill. God drives me crazy. This is the delusion. I've been talking about delusion. This is the delusion these people live under. It's amazing. It says, there's a saying, a delusion is something that people believe despite a lack of evidence. And that's exactly what I just described with Chelsea Handler. She's deluded without even having one iota of evidence. And she says, look, America's not any good. What's up with America? There's nothing up with America except you stupid leftists who constantly believe that there's something better than us. Go find it. Find your happy place. I'm sick of them. Anyway, I want to shift gears because this is a story I'd wanted to cover a while back. It happened not too long ago, but I titled it, I Am Woman and You Will Listen. And so I was thinking about this piece, and I wrote this. Generally speaking, when men and women argue in relationships, it's over money. Am I right? But in this particular case, they weren't arguing over money. And that's why the story caught me. It was a story in Law and Crime. Have you been to that website, Law and Crime? Which one of you guys found this? You? Okay. Well, school him because he hasn't been there. Anyway, Law and Crime. And this woman wanted her man's attention. That's it. She wanted his attention. Hey, wake up. You there? Hey, I'm right here. I'm right here. And she knew how to get it. And now look. Fights happen in relationships. I'm not talking about knock down, drag out. I'm going to knock your head off. But arguments. And couples will freeze each other out. You know, like you get into an argument and you're so mad. You just like, I'm not talking. Your significant other's talking to you and you're just ignoring them. That the freeze out. You ever done that with your girlfriend? Yeah, everybody's done a freeze out. Or you've had a freeze out done to you where you go, oh, she's not talking to me. I get it. Okay. Yeah. And sometimes people get into a loud argument. Maybe one fires a gun in another's direction. What? What are you talking about, Kevin? This happened in the state of Arizona, where I happen to reside. A woman was recently arrested because she fired 2 shots above her husband's head while he was on the toilet. This dude, this guy. So I'm just trying to picture. Did they argue, and he goes, "Look, I gotta take a break. I gotta take a dump." Or was he just sitting there trying to cool off, trying to chill? Regardless, this chick burst open the door. Pow, pow. Was he not? Was she like still just blah 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 blah? And he's freezing. You know, he's on the freeze out. Won't even look. And then finally, man, pow pow. Okay, first of all, if I were him, know that just the idea that she had a weapon is enough for me to go, hey, you know what? As soon as we chill out here a little bit, I'm packing my bags. You gonna pull out a weapon? Because you're getting frozen out. Whatever the circumstances are, it shouldn't involve a firearm. The Goodyear Police Department said Fawn's husband, this one's name is Gene Fawn. They said it was on December the 30th. Officers met him near his home, and according to the cops, the man said his wife was mad at him for 2 days. And this culminated while he was sitting on the toilet. She entered the bathroom, opened fire twice over his head. And Fawn admitted to it. The woman admitted it. She's like, yeah, I did it. I did it, doggone it. I want to see the video. I want to see not of him sitting on the loot, and her firing shots. I want to see the video of them asking her why she did it. She says, I shot 2 bullets at the wall above his head to make him listen to me. And then she tried to downplay the incident. They've been married 32 years. And she says, well, he wasn't in any danger. Let me tell you, if you pull a gun on me and I'm taking a dump and you shoot 2 bullets over my head, I'm just going to presume you're a bad shot. Don't do that. That's crazy. She said he would have to be 10 feet tall to be hit by the bullet. So apparently she shot way over his head. Yet again, Stevie Wonder, I don't really care. You never know what could happen. You trip and fall, or, who knows? Anyway, the bullets flew 7 inches over this man's head. He could have been killed over the freeze out. 2 days, not talking. Look, get some help. Go to marriage counseling. I know you've been married 32 years, but it's never too late. Holy Toledo.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. And certain subjects we cover a little bit more sensitive, not because we're not adults. And I consider the show PG-13. I have a little tongue-in-cheek humor sometimes with sexuality, excuse me, and topics that have to do with sex. But for the most part, we avoid those. And when we do talk about them, I give you a little bit of warning in case there are some young ears and things like that. And the unfortunate thing is when you're talking about leftism, there is a lot of this type of stuff out there. We talked about this Italian actress who said if they won an election or something in her town, some referendum, if they voted no to it, that she would go around on a tour pleasuring men. And we talked about that. And I talk about it in the sense of how silly it is, what leftists are willing to do. And then I told you Madonna had said the same thing. By the way, the Italian actress, maybe. Madonna, no. So, but we cover those topics because I think it's necessary. I don't think we should avoid topics of sexuality, because the unfortunate thing is every time the left tells us, well, you can't talk about religion, politics, and sex, as you guys have heard me say, ask me where they've been beating us in religion, politics, and sex, because we're afraid to tackle these issues. We've been so afraid to bring them up that they bring them up all the time, and then by the time we start talking about, well, hold on a second about all these genders. Oh, look at you, Mr. Joe, homophobic or whatever, And you're going, wait, that's not what I'm talking about. Hold on, can I get a word in edge? Nope, can't do it. So we've been trained in decorum to not talk about these things, and the fact of the matter is we should be talking about these things. Now, here's a subject that I think is very pertinent, because it's one of those that I think it's going to loom larger and larger over the next decade. I think our kids and grandkids are going to be dealing with this. But the leftist media attempted to mainstream pedophilia. And MSNBC put out a tweet that said this. It was NBC actually. Would child sex robots stop pedophilia or promote it? And they offered a link to their article. And I took a screenshot of it in case they were going to delete the tweet, because that's the bad news when you use a tweet. If they delete it, then it just comes up as a blank. But here was an excerpt from the article. And I love this question because I think it causes us to think as well as conservatives. So here's what it says. Sex robots are nothing if not controversial. Some say they perpetuate pornographic representations of women and fuel misogyny by suggesting that consent isn't required for sexual activity. Others call them a boon for people who have trouble with conventional sexual relationships and couples with mismatched sex drives. Now, some experts are further stoking the sex bot debate by arguing that the devices could become a deterrent to child molestation. They envision a future in which pedophiles are prescribed childlike sex bots. They call them CSBs. They even have an acronym for it. They said, so they can act out their urges without victimizing anyone. Now I'm going to stop for just a second so you can stew on that. They got these sex bots that look like children, I'm presuming, so that the pedophile has his own little child that he may have sex with, and therefore no one gets hurt. Okay? You with me so far? What do you guys think? You're already kind of going there, aren't you? Yeah. So they say this. There's wide agreement among experts that neither child sex dolls nor CSBs should be freely available for purchase. But some experts say the time has come to conduct scientific research to gauge their possible use as a deterrent for pedophilia, a psychiatric disorder that causes sexual attraction to prepubescent children, and it is now treated with psychotherapy or in some cases libido-curbing drugs. The aim would be to examine, they say, whether when used under clinical supervision, the devices could provide a safe outlet for individuals who are sexually attracted to children. Dr. Ron Arkin said this, "We don't know the answers yet." He's a professor of robotics at the Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta and an expert on human-robot interactions. I don't know how you can be an expert on human-robot interactions unless you were, made the movie The Terminator or something, but he is. He goes on to say this, but recidivism in child sex offenders is a major problem in society that needs to be addressed, and there's a possibility that technology may be able to help with that, said the guy who designs robots. So, to help pedophiles, now I'm just thinking out loud here. I want us to go into this together. They've designed robots that look like children. So the leftist logic here is feed the beast. But let's go further and let's just go ahead and provide them for them. Let's buy these robots for these pedophiles, these members of NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, that the ACLU supports and Democrats seem to fall in love with. At the very least, I'm going to make you a bet. Some leftist group will say, we need to subsidize these robots and we need to put them on Medicare and Medicaid. For the people that have this, and I'm using my finger quotes, problem, they need to be able to buy these robots at a subsidized price because it's better for this is good for everybody. It's good for society. And it's like those liftable wheelchairs for old people. If you just call 1-800-MEDICARE and I will get you your sex bot at a discounted price. We will ship one to you, and if you don't like that one, we'll ship you another little old bitty boy. I mean, would you want to be the one selling this? You're the sales guy for this company? I mean, I've sold a lot of stuff, mostly technology. But I don't know. Now I was talking about this in another subject. We were talking about these dolls for, because I was shocked to see the lifelike look of some of these dolls. But these were women, dolls. And I remember as a kid when we would jokingly, somebody even in military school, I know we came back one summer and somebody had bought one. They call them blow-up dolls, but they're like I don't know what the material is. It felt like not nylon, but plastic. It felt like plastic, and the thing just had a big old red lips on the mouth, and I guess a spot between its legs, and we put that on some guy's in his rack, when he went to Liberty or something one day, but we did it as a joke. So the point is, they were just like it was junk. I mean, if you did anything with this thing more than 3 times, I think it was over. The relationship ended. Okay. But now the ones that I've seen, I'm telling you, they've come a long way, baby. I'll put it to you that way. It will turn your head. They take some of the most stunning, dimensions of a woman, put them on these dolls, and they look like they could be in the movie, Terminator, where you're going, wow, I don't know. It made me wonder where these things are going to be in 10 years. But the question for me is about children. Feeding the beast and letting pedophiles feel like, to me, you're feeding that addiction. So the social media erupted. One of my favorite came from Kenny, who's my partner in the film, and he put this, not sure, because the thing was, would child sex robots stop pedophilia or promote it? And Kenny writes, not sure. Did that Obama sex robot stop you guys from prostituting yourselves for his administration? And then this guy, he's an anti-Trumper, But he even drew the line at normalizing pedophilia. And here's what he said. We shouldn't be normalizing pedophilia. It's promoting it. Now, Rich summed up what I believe most people think about this sick subject. And here's what he says. It's not healthy to have a desire to have sex with children. It's not healthy for a child to be engaging in sex, period. You, the media, should write stories about exactly what kind of damage it does to an individual, as well as exposing areas where this is taking place. Now, I didn't find out anything about Rick's, his politics. But then another person talked about all the child exploitation bust in the first month of the Trump presidency. January 27th, 42 arrested. January 29th, 474 arrested. And then another one, and then 38. February 1st, 11 kids rescued in a New Orleans bust. February 5th, 9 arrested, 31 kids and women rescued in a bust. February 5th, 108 arrested in Illinois, 29 sex traffickers. February 5th, February 5th, there were 4 things. 108 arrested, 178 arrested, 750 arrested, and 92 rescued in Super Bowl interstate rescue, Illinois and Texas. And I could go on. 1,500 arrests, hundreds of children rescued, and MSNBC's talking about a sex bot. And there was another good idea. Every purchaser of that doll should be on record, public record.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So we've got some new news regarding Barack Obama. And I'm telling you right now, you're seeing the writing on the wall for this clown. We talked about him earlier because they don't want his library at the University of Chicago. And I find that pretty unusual, given that that's the place where he hails from. And, and I could go on, he calls it home. They helped him get elected. He got his butt buddy, Rahm Emanuel, is the mayor, and on and on. Yeah, there's all kinds of reasons for them to be there. He's got a big, beautiful home there that was bought by a criminal who's now in prison. Surprised he didn't try to pardon Tony Resco. But anyway, so he's got ties to Chicago. Look at the crime rate. Look at the south side of Chicago. He's done such a great job there. Isn't that where he community organized? So he builds his library on the campus of University of Chicago, and they're like, we need to move this. 100 professors go, get this thing out of here. It's a disaster. It's going to cost a fortune, and it's not adding to the character of the city and so on and so forth. So what a slap in the face. And look, this has happened elsewhere. I talked about it earlier. Hawaii wanted to rename Sandy Beach Barack Obama Beach. And in one of the more liberal states in the country, they said, no, let's just not go that route. Oahu is a cesspool of liberalism, leftism. And they said, no, let's not be too hasty. This is a guy that the Democrats claim was the savior of their party that lost over 1,000 seats during his tenure, and doubled our national debt from 10 trillion to 20 trillion after he accused George Bush, who added a ton to the national debt, of being a communist. This is just outright. It's treasonous. It's treasonous to do that right there. So he does it. And so Hawaii goes, no, let's not. Maybe we'll name one of our black sand beaches, the one on the way to Hana. Maybe we'll name that one Barack Obama Beach. Yeah, I had to go make it racial. You liked that little touch, didn't you? Yeah, I don't blame you guys. I keep you entertained. That's the good thing about this job. Anyway, here's the deal. Barack Obama is building this library, and he doesn't want any of his stuff in it. Barack Obama, listen up, leftists. He's as fake as his name. This dude doesn't know what to call himself. Barry Obama, Barry Soetoro, who cares? Barry Gibbs, Barry White. Who loves you, baby? Yeah, baby, Barry here. This is a clown. Doesn't know who he is, and he's doggone determined to keep his identity from these leftists who think they know him. Oh, Barack, he's so amazing. He's this, he's that. I mean, I just always love watching him on TV when he gives speeches, and he's always so cool. I mean, you see the way he comes off of Huey 1 and the way he walks, and I love how he treats his family and, his dog. They're just like, you just want to grab them and squeeze the rest of that syrup out of them. You know what I mean? God, you gushy, gooey sweets. They're just, they're, ugh. If they really knew who Barack Obama was, they would Obama him. That's where I was headed. You see how my brain works way ahead? I would abandon him with a quickness. His term president done. Now it's time for the presidential library, right? The public expects Obama to fess up. Get us those college transcripts. Get us that real birth certificate. Have fun with that one, you leftist. and get us those personal things that are going to tell us about the man who led the not so free world for the better part of a decade. We want to see the goods, man. This is your presidential library. You're done. Your place in history is solid. You know, look, there's no going back. Yeah, you can get historians to spin it. Well, you know, I didn't inherit the worst economy ever in the history of the nation. Yeah, that white boy gave me something bad here, and I had to fix it up. And because of that, you know, you got to cut me a little slack. Okay, fine. All true. Let's just say that's the fact. You want to go with that. Fine. So give us your handwritten documents, you know, man, this George Bush, what a piece of crap I got here. What? I can't believe this man, you know, but he won't give you those. I'm sure he made recordings. Richard, come on, Nixon. You know, like, you know, sitting here in the Oval Office for the first time, these people didn't think I could make it, but I'm here. You know, give us something. Give us behind the scenes, whatever. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to give you pictorials and all that. I'm just telling you. I want to see it. They won't even give us the most barren of trivialities on his oneness. Anyway, here's Fox News' report on it. They said the Obama Foundation is taking an unconventional approach to the presidential center and library being planned in Chicago. It's opting to host a digital archive of President Obama's records, but not keep his hard copy transcripts and letters and documents on site. That means no thumbing through the ex-president's correspondence on the healthcare fight or first drafts of his State of the Union addresses. The decision has historians shaking their head. All archivists are waiting to see how this will work because we're all struggling with how we will make things available digitally. This is what Peggy Glowacki, a manuscripts librarian at the Richard J. Daley Library at the University of Chicago, told the Chicago Tribune. Unconventional. That's the word they describe of a guy who's not going to give you the data. No, you can't keep my actual records. I'll let you do a digital data, and that therefore you can't share it. You can't. And let me tell you, talk about redactions. Unconventional. The left are going to present this as Obama. Oh, he's bucking tradition. He's doing things my way, right? But if Donald Trump did this, they'd go, look at it. He's hiding stuff. He doesn't want people to know about the Russia connection. That's what they're going to do. I fully expect, seriously, I will never enter the Barack Obama library unless I'm doing a story. And here's the deal. If I were to go in there, I fully expect to see his FBI-approved BlackBerry on display, smashed, of course, when you enter the hallowed halls of ignorance, because that's what they should call it. Barack Obama's library, the hallowed halls of ignorance, because this is the dumbest president ever. If you think for 1 second Barack Obama is going to build a library and he's going to make it, let me tell you, everything you walk by is going to be, he was so wonderful. Look at him. Watch him give this speech. Look at him as he signs this piece of legislation that didn't help anybody, but watch it. Watch how he signs, or what a nice suit. Who was his clothier? I'm just telling you, they are not going to give you the goods because this dude was a clown. He was a moron, a buffoon of the highest order. And people get mad when I say it and they accuse me of being jealous. Jealous of what? Jealous of what? I could outrun him. I could outplay him in basketball. My handicap in golf, even though my game right now is pretty bad, I could still beat that fool. What am I jealous of? His wife? Shoot. Man, I'd rather marry my cellmate in prison than marry Michelle Obama. I know. Get mad at me. Get mad at me, but there's people out there going, yep, I agree, Kevin. I agree. I don't want no part of that woman. Exactly. Ain't putting me in a headlock and forcing sex on me. Not this brother. Shoot. Oh, man. Why not save the world? Just put Obama's life on a thumb drive and send it out to everybody who's interested and just say, here it is, your savior. The man who did it. I mean, the story of Barack Obama, honestly, the biggest accomplishment this man ever did was to be the biggest fraud in the history of this nation who can become a president. That should give everybody hope. That book should be written. You too, you fraudulent piece of crap, drug smoking, bisexual, what do they call those things? Bathhouse attending dude. You can be a president. If this dude can do it, anybody can do it. That is a book of redemption. And I mean, I'm not saying he's completely redeemed, but that is a book that is inspiring. If Obama wrote the truth, I'm telling you, I would read that book and go, dang, dude, you squandered your life, Kev. Because it would be, so I grew up, my mama, my daddy left. They weren't my real daddy, but we had to fake it because everybody needed to know my mama didn't just wasn't a promiscuous. And then we met this dude named, because my mom was hanging out with Frank Marshall Davis, but we met this Mexican, this Kenyan dude named Obama, and he fit the bill. So and it was exotic. So we went that route. And honestly, I am a radical. And I wasn't born here. Get a little red meat for the people that think I'm a conspiracy theorist. But, and he write that book and say, I was a dope smoking dude. I was a piker. I looked for the easy way out. I loved guys, but I had to fake like I was into women and all that. And I became president. I lied. I cheated. I scammed, but I made it. I would read that book. I would buy that book. I would read it. I'd have it in my library. True.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Edmund Burke said, the people never give up their liberties, but under some delusion. And that's a fact. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Talking about delusions, delusions of grandeur, delusions that you're bigger than life, delusions that your ideas are the only ideas that can work or should work or whatever. Delusions. And then there are realities. There are cold, hard realities. And let me just make a distinction here. Leftists live under delusions. They believe communism, fascism, socialism work. You live under reality. Reality is capitalism. People are going to trade business or whatever. If you give them a common currency, they'll use that common currency and they'll trade based on the goods, what they think the value of their goods or services are. That's a fact. But the delusion is that somebody is stepping on the neck of somebody when they make that type of a transaction together. That's the delusion. The delusion is that government can get in the middle of it and regulate it and do it in an efficient way. Do we need government when you want to build an enterprise, a commerce system? Absolutely. But do you need it to the level that we have it? The answer is no. It's too big. Tell the left that, they will tell you the delusion that government can solve all your problems. Government provides safety for you. Tell that to the millions of people every year that get beaten, raped, murdered, whatever, embezzled. Where was government? Tell that to the people that are poisoned by food every year, or when you get an FDA recall. You know who first approved it? The FDA. But they believe government is going to solve the problem. Sure, government. Ooh, they're the cure for everything. Government that can't deliver your mail on time. Government that can't watch. Have you watched Amtrak? Have you seen how many times that derails? Didn't we just have one not too long ago? Government that claims it's protecting you when you fly. All it's doing is fleecing you. It's a delusion. And the illusion of it all is that government is there to protect. Government doesn't protect you. I'm not trying to in the big picture, sure, we have an army, a military. Sure. In the big picture, that's what keeps people probably from invading us. Probably. I don't think most people, quite frankly, want to invade us. I'm not trying to say we don't need the military, but I'm saying how much of military do we really need? I don't have the answer. But I'll tell you this, if you want to convince me that our government is doing it the best it can be done, I'd beg to differ. The only reason why they run it is because we can't put our safety in the hands of a private enterprise. But trust me, there are business people that could do it a lot better. Fortunately, we have a guy who's a business person who's going to make the military do it a lot better. People never give up their liberties, but under some delusion. Let me give you a good example. Right now, we are embattled in this war on women, supposedly, that's been brought about because of Harvey Weinstein. So the idea is all men are in some way lecherous, and we've aggrieved some woman in a way that they didn't want. So you got women marching with Me Too and Time's Up and all these other things. So it implies one thing, that women are completely innocent. Ergo, men are completely guilty. So the average guy, you're listening to this radio show, Kevin Jackson's radio show, kjradio.com. By the way, if you want to call the show, 844-551-8255. So you're out there listening, and they are condemning you because of Harvey Weinstein and the litany of other Holly weirdos, leftist men who've mistreated women. And the delusion is it's men. Yeah, it's men. And the bigger delusion is it's all men. You know the old saying, all men are dogs. Really? So what, all women are cats? All women are innocent. No, women don't mess around. Women don't, embezzle. Women don't commit crimes. Look, they may not commit crimes in the level that we do, but they do. I don't know what a woman's mind is when she decides she's going to have an affair, but I don't think it's very much different than a guy's. But to listen to women, they are so aggrieved. They're the housewives who the husband put him through college, and then he went off and ran off with his secretary. That's the saga. That's the story. That's the delusion. It's never the woman. Women walk away from their families. Women screw around on their husbands and do all sorts of things. But the delusion is they're the oppressed. They're always the victims. When they don't get out, they live pitifully in a divorce because they've been housewives. Now, let me tell you, last time I checked, there was a women's movement. It's older than I am. So any woman that's over 30 years old, you got no excuses. And by the way, any of them younger than that, you certainly got no excuses. When I say 30, you know what I'm saying. A woman that's 50 years old ain't got no excuses. I don't want to hear it. You knew what I was talking about. Yeah, I don't have to always get it right. So what do we have? We have this war, a war waging on innocent guys, and they want to go into protect mode. Whatever. Protect what? That you maybe had a conversation about, something that was a little bit, I don't know, off color, let's say, in a break room and a woman overheard it, or maybe you were having it with her. Maybe it's because she dug you and she wanted to hear. She started it. She very well could have started it. But to believe women, nope, we don't do that. We don't grab men by the crotch or look at other women's boobs because we're lesbians or no, they don't do any of that stuff. But here we are, we're ceding our rights as men going, well, I mean, that Harvey Weinstein, he did some bad things. And, and then there was that other guy and that other guy. And now we've got lots of women coming forward. I would love to go back and look at all these women, go check out their histories, and you find out they were my grandmother would call them fast. They were the fastest girls in their school. Looking at every boy, wanting to get with them, in the back seat, jacked up, going in the closets and having sex with boys or whatever. They're disingenuous liars for the most part. These leftist women are scummy. They're the ones that want you to pay for their birth control, and while their parents, they got trust funds of $1 million, the Sandra Flux of the world. That's who they are. But they want you to believe you're a bad guy. Oh my goodness. You're not fooling me. I'm not taking on responsibility for what's happening to women. Women are more than capable of protecting themselves. And let me tell you, the conservative women listening to me right now, they're going, yep, you're doggone right I am, Kevin. And we shouldn't be, placating these leftist women by going, oh, geez, we got to play along with this little game because it's politically correct. No, most of the women, especially this younger generation, believe they are powerful people and they don't need somebody protecting them, especially a man. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. A lot of this nonsense, this delusions.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Holy cow. I don't know how we're going to get through everything here. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Because, look, there's so much to talk about. This Russian collusion thing has exploded. It's completely been debunked. I want to cover the story. We wrote about it. It's been debunked. And yet, we got Mueller, who's added somebody else like a digital forensic guy to his team because he wants to look at how things could have happened. It's ridiculous. But you know what? Go for it. If that's the ruse that you want to take it through, fine. Because you know what it's going to do? It's going to drag out through 2018. And at some point in this year, before the election, we're gonna learn what's happening. Mueller may get fired. I don't know what will happen, but it's going to blow up, and it won't blow up on us. The shrapnel is going to hit all these freaking Democrats that believe in this ruse. And so are all these other ones. All this other selling of stuff. this the war against men that I talked about just a few minutes ago in the first segment. It's all going to blow up. We just found out about this Twitter guy who says he's going to expose all of the president's tweets. Well, okay, fine. I don't think Donald Trump tweets anything or even deletes tweets that he gives a crap about. But if that's what the guy's going to do. And I'll talk about that with respect to social media. Because social media on the left is not to be trusted. So we have that. And then we had the House Oversight Committee, who essentially said they're declassifying this DOJ FBI dossier. That's going to be a huge blow up for the left. Now, the other people are going, oh, Kevin, they're releasing it because they're trying to get people preemptively to be able to read it and know what to say and all that. Fine. Look, here's what I can tell you about all that kind of stuff. There are some very smart people, the Trey Gowdies of the world, people like that, who say, I mean, I wouldn't want to try to get something by Trey. I'll just put it to you that way. So Donald Trump's innocent. He's like, look, whatever you want to ask me, ask me. You need data, you can have it. I don't care. I'm innocent. It's very easy to keep the story straight when you're innocent. When you're guilty, oh my gosh, the nuance, the things that you got to think about are so crazy. You cannot think of it all. Look, I watch these crime shows. I consider myself an aficionado. And I think about how they figured something out on the most minute detail. And it's because as smart as you are, you're not smarter than the collective brains of all the people who have individual expertise. And they put that thing together and it builds a cyborg. It isn't a human. It's a cyborg that can throw you off of a cliff. You know what I mean? It's just a beast you have no clue about. It's brain power like you've never seen, because it's every expert, a fiber expert analysis guy, a blood expert analysis guy, a DNA guy, whatever. And you can be brilliant, but you can't be brilliant in everything, broski. So anyway, we got that. And there's so much to talk about. I just learned that Daryl Issa, it's Issa, right? I don't know. Why does he have the second S? Daryl Issa is gonna retire. Another congressman retiring. Now look, Issa's worth, I heard, $180 million. No, it's more than that. It's like $600 million. He's very wealthy. I don't know why he's wasting his time in Congress anyway. But yeah, he's going to retire. So we could talk about that. There's tons to talk about, but I want to begin by talking about some irony, a bit of irony. Now this is back on Golden Globes, but I just want to explain how things work in Hollywood. See, Hollywood feminist women haven't finished going after Hollywood feminist men, and their timing is impeccable. These powerful feminists seem to time their release of information with the precision of an Ali jab. Basa! And the latest to get love tapped is Golden Globe winner James Franco. Now, you probably didn't watch it. I didn't watch it either. And I'm not a fan of James Franco at all. He is a vapid leftist. I can't stand the dude. I don't even watch his films anymore. When I would see him before, he's an affable guy. He's the kind of guy, he looks like he's fun to hang around, kind of goofy and everything else. But now I see him and I go, nope, total leftist, won't watch his films, click. Not even was it Spider-Man? Yeah. I don't watch Spider-Man with him in it, excuse me. But anyway, two women came forward on Twitter and accused James Franco of sexual harassment. And both these actresses pointed out how hypocritical it was for Franco to wear a Time's Up pin to spotlight sexual harassment and assault scandals that have obviously been plaguing Hollywood. One of them, I don't know what she tweeted, but it was something like, "Hey, James Franco, nice Time's Up pin at the Golden Globes. Remember a few weeks ago when you told me the full nudity you had me do in two of your movies for $100 a day wasn't exploitive because I signed a contract to do it. Time's up on that." Whoa. Yeah, a little dirty laundry there, James. Yeah, so she's mad that she signed up to do a movie, $100 a day, full nudity. Look, I know some dudes that'll, they let you stand around, maybe you can even make a little money cleaning up. Don't they have nudie maids? They do. You look at me like I'm crazy. They have nudie maids. It may be called something else, but there are maids who clean people's houses in the nude. I'm not lying. I know this for a fact. Look it up. Google it. Half time people think I'm just kidding, but I'm not kidding. There's nudie maids. And so why not pay your $100 and get your house cleaned? Anyway, this girl's getting paid $100 a day. She did sign a contract. What's her problem? And here was another one. She says, cute. This was from Violet Paley. And she says, cute, time's up, pin James Franco. Remember the time you pushed my head down in your car towards your exposed penis? And the other time you told my friend to come to your hotel when she was 17 after you had already been caught doing that to a different 17-year-old? So here again, we got this Hollywood hypocrite, James Franco, standing up there in his black with his time's up pin. And it turns out he's a lech. And here's the thing. Hollywood knows it. It isn't like, you have to wonder, is it? And let me go on to talk about this Fox thing, because in 2014, Franco admitted he tried to initiate a hotel hookup with a 17-year-old Scottish tourist. Her name was Lucy Claude, via Instagram and text messages after the conversation leaked between the two. I'm embarrassed, and I guess I'm just a model of, how society is tricky, he revealed during an appearance on Live with Kelly and Michael. It's the way people meet each other today. But what I've learned, I guess just because I'm new to this, it's like, you don't know who's on the other end. You meet somebody in person, you get a feel for them, but you don't know who you're talking to. And so I use bad judgment. I learned my lesson. But had he learned his lesson? No, because he did it again. That's what the lady was talking about. But here's the irony. They give an award to the guy who, on a night where they're talking about sexual harassment, to a guy who's a sexual harasser. That's Hollywood.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What bothers me about this president is not so much what he says, although he is so offensive. I mean, just a few weeks ago, he attacked the United States Senator with sexual innuendo. He talks about prison for his former opponent in a presidential election. This is not what presidents of the United States do. But I am more worried about what this president's policies are in terms of telling the working people of this country during his campaign that he was going to stand with them, and yet he governs now as a representative of the billionaire class. Tax breaks for the wealthy, cutting people off of health insurance, ignoring the needs of children, not dealing with the prescription drug crisis in this country that he said he was going to deal with. I worry about him being a pathological liar. Those are some of the concerns that I have.
Oh, boy. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. Bernie Sanders is a moron. Seriously. There are many people that are like, support the guy. And I get it. During the time he was running against Hillary, maybe he was making sense to all these kids or whatever. But to support Bernie Sanders, I'm just going to put it out there. You have to be a full-blown idiot. He knows nothing. How this guy is in politics and manages to stay there is a real testament to the fact that there are people out there that are so ignorant and buy into this idea that somebody's keeping them down. And Bernie sells it as good as anybody. The rich are trying to get richer. The fat cats, they're after you. They're doing all these things to you. Whatever, Bernie. Man, I'm so sick of it. As a young black kid growing up, I would have punched Bernie Sanders in the face. Seriously. How in the heck in this country can you go around selling the concept that everybody's just out to get you? There's so many things out there for you. You can get educated. If you want to get that rotten education that they call community college or whatever, go get it. It'll help you. I'm not saying that college doesn't help people formulate ideas, but for the most part, it's a waste of time. I mean, it's okay, great. Let's go get that paper. I got mine. And then you just go, okay, I got my paperwork. But where you really learn is by getting out there and rolling up your sleeves and finding out what it is you want to do. And the way you do that is you do a multitude of things, or you try out a lot of different ideas. The majority of people in this country who are stuck in their jobs are stuck there because they read a report that said there's going to be a need for lots of accountants in the year 2014. And so they go, I'll be an accountant because there's going to be a need for them. They don't care. It wasn't a passion. I mean, I find it odd that people have a passion for accounting, but they do. They do. And so I'll tell you this. I got into engineering for two reasons. One, my brother was a tech, my oldest brother. And he would come home and he would solder things onto a board. And I was like, what's that? And he had the schematic and he'd be reading it. And I'd look at it and he'd go, and then he explained, this is a resistor, a capacitor, an inductor. Here's my circuit, whatever. And so hey, can I do it? And I'd solder it. And he'd go, that's a cold solder joint. And then so every summer when he came home, we built stuff and I gained an appreciation for it. I wouldn't call it a love, but I gained an appreciation. And I liked watching things come to life. And when we finished building whatever, then the radio worked or the little, gadget worked. That's what gave me a love, this affinity towards it. And the fact that I was hanging out with my older brother who was cool, right? And so I went ahead and got an engineering degree. So he was a tech. And so when I learned about being a tech versus an engineer, I said, I want to be an engineer. I don't want to be a tech. Because the tech had to work for the engineer. But I did tech work when I went to, I was a co-op at Texas Instruments. So I did tech work and I learned a lot more. And I found out I really do like the design aspect of it. But I became an engineer and I did like it. But I'll tell you this right now. I did not love it. I didn't love it. My brother got me. It made me think. It taught me logic because circuit, and how electricity moves around is very logical. It fed into all the things that my mind had. But I'll tell you, my creative side suffered because I liked the creative. If I hadn't done that with my brother, it would not surprise me at all if I would have gone to Hollywood and been on the casting couch and been out there trying to make a living. Trying to avoid Harvey Weinstein. No, Kevin Spacey. But it's true. It's so true. Because I never had that influence in the country. You wake up early in the morning, you go to bed, when the lights go down, night comes and the chores are done. And it's a pretty simple life. And so it wasn't somebody out there going, hey, let's do some old show tunes, Kev. So I had TV is my distraction. I'm cracking myself up now. But I had TV as my distraction. So I used to do all the voices. James G. Robinson. Yeah. You see, where's your God now, Moses? Jimmy Stewart. And some people like that. And I would do Carson. I did all the things Rich Little did. And I mimicked all these old white guys, which, by the way, not a big career for that with black dudes. But I entertained myself in ways that I think, honestly, was more my personality. But I went with engineering because my brother was, and he ended up getting his engineering degree. And ironically, after he gets all his degrees, he goes back to school and gets a PhD in theology. So he's doing nothing close to that. But his logical mind led him, to really research theology and get closer to God and so on and so forth. So my only point to it is that you don't know what you want to do. And there are people out there struggling. They're not struggling because the government is oppressive. They're struggling because they didn't have somebody guiding them in the right way. Now, where does that occur? It occurs in the school system. Now, here's what school system does. It goes, hey, you have high aptitude for math and science, Kevin. Great. But it doesn't tell me you could be a good writer. You might be a playwright. You might be a poet. You could be a songwriter. There are other elements to it. You should figure these things out as well. It doesn't do that. There wasn't a counselor that said, let me learn about you, man. Tell me about your upbringing. The closest I came to that was my counselor in high school, Mr. Sharp. And here's what he said to me. I won a scholarship called the Minnie Stevens Piper Scholarship, one of the biggest scholarships in the state of Texas. And so I had pretty much a free ride because Minnie Stevens Piper would pay for this. And they picked 25 valedictorians in the school and in the state. They looked at all the valedictorians in the state of Texas, and they picked 25 of us who were finalists, and they paid for wherever we wanted to go to school. So I was the person who was submitted and by Mr. Sharp, and he told me, I'm going to submit you for this. And he goes, now, Gross won it last year. Mike Gross won it last year. They've never given it 2 years in a row to the same school. So, sorry, you probably won't win it. But I wanted to let you know I submitted you because, you're a stellar student, blah, blah, blah. I appreciate it, Mr. Sharp. By the way, he goes, as a consolation prize, if you want to get in the General Motors Institute, I'll make some calls and we'll get you in the General Motors Institute because you have an affinity. Your grades for math and science are very high. And so, but we had a conversation. That's the only career conversation I ever had with a counselor was, I can get you in there. And I said, I don't know. I go, I got a lot of offers coming from a lot of different schools. And I think I just want to do engineering. I don't want to do automotive engineering. I want to do design engineering. And he goes, okay, well, you let me know. And that was it. But when you have an affinity to math and science, nobody goes, hey, listen, you might want to look at acting or singing or whatever. I'm an amazing singer. Can't you hear it? Can't you hear it in my voice? No, I'm not doing anything special with my voice right now. This is just my voice. It's like when somebody touches your stomach and you tense up. And they're like, whoa! Oh, man. So, but here's the thing. And I come back to this. And I'm sure many of you are listening to me now going, you know what, Kevin? You're so right. I didn't search and figure out what I wanted to do. I had one of my buddies. I worked for a guy, one of my supervisors in engineering was a guy named Walter Ford. And Walter was a really good engineer, analog and digital engineer, taught me tons. And his son was a master at body work on cars. And so Walter was like, yeah, my son, he's doing a car. And he goes, this kid can actually look at a car and know that it's slightly off. He goes, you can't calibrate better than him with a machine than when he looks at it. He'll look at it and go, no, it's off. And it looks perfect to me, and he'll redo it. And then you go, wow, it is better. And he goes, he's great at that. And I remember thinking, Walter's a degreed engineer, master's degree, my boss, and his son gets out of high school and does an auto body, is doing auto body work. And Walter's like, I'm happy for him. And I remember thinking, man, my grandmother would be, you ain't going to be doing no auto body work. You're going to college. You're going to do that. But it was happiness. And I don't know what the guy's doing, but I bet you he owns a big body shop. He's doing really well. He loves what he's doing. And he's not going to be a ward of the government for any reason. That's what I'm talking about. But Bernie Sanders wants to blame somebody.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Alexander Alekeen said this. He says, I've had to work long and hard to eradicate dangerous delusion that in a bad position I could always or nearly always conjure up some unexpected combination to extricate me from my difficulties. And when I see that as a discussion around delusions, I think of leftists every single time. Their delusions lead them into dangerous areas that they think they can escape, and they can't, particularly when it doesn't involve other people's money. When it's like, okay, so I'll use family as an example. I have a family member who I said to her one day, I said, well, you're always nickel and diming me. Hey, I need $50 because I might tire of this or something happened. And I go, how much money do you spend on cigarettes? She's a big smoker. And she's like, this much or whatever. I said, if you just cut back on cigarettes, maybe got rid of them. I said, you could save $75 a month or something like that, whatever it was. And I said, what else do you do? She says, I go out, once a week or whatever. And I said, if you cut that back to once every 2 weeks, I go, what do you spend when you go out? She told me like $50. I said, then you could save $100. I said, so we're at $175 right now per month. So I said, 175, let's just do it easy math, 150. So I said $150 a month, you could save $1,800. You get it? Easy math. So I said, and then you wouldn't have to come to me every now and then going, hey, I need $100. And I remember saying this to her. It's been probably 20 years, honestly. And so it's 6 years later from the time we had that conversation. She goes, I need $100, to do such and such. Pay you back when I get my refund check. And I went, didn't we have this conversation 6 years ago? I go, what could you have saved 6 years? So using $1,800 a year over 6 years, she'd have almost $12,000 saved up. And she's still doing the same thing. See, this is the delusion that the leftists live under, is that there's plenty of time. It'll change. My life will change and structure in this way. And they make no plans because they think somebody's there to bail them out. Now, at $100, sure, here, family member, you can have it. And I'm not looking at it as enabling because, quite frankly, I have the money. It's a small amount of money. And I don't lecture. Haven't lectured her in years. Is she doing anything different? Nope. Still struggling. Same thing 20 years later. And at some point, the light's going to come on. I'm no longer responsible. At the time when I was helping her, she was, it's one of my cousins. She was in her early 20s. And I tried to help. I gave her all the advice I could give as a good, solid, citizen of the family. And that's the end of it. Now, she'll get impoverished and go, Kevin, my kids ain't got nowhere. And she'll run to me wanting thousands. And I'll go, nope, I told you how to do it. And, of course, I'll be an ogre and, talked about it at the family reunions. But you know how I feel. I don't care. I ain't getting shot at it. But I bring this up in the context of the Russian dossier because a congressional transcript was released earlier this week, and the British spy who compiled this dossier against Trump at the time, I don't know if it was president, but he was just running at the time, said he was worried about, quote, whether a political candidate was being blackmailed or had been compromised. And what they're learning about this is, number one, it was fake information that was gathered, but quite frankly, he should have been worrying about this of Hillary Clinton. But the actual Russian collusion story, and it's going to continue. And to be honest with you, I'm bored with this topic, but I want to finish it off with this because the Democrats now find themselves caught in a vortex of lies and deceit. Robert Mueller spends more time now investigating the FBI than he does investigating Donald Trump. And my question outside of the Bannon stuff is, where's there been any mention of Donald Jr. or Jared Kushner or some of these other people that were involved in this? And the fact is, all of sane America knows that neither candidate Trump nor President Trump colluded with the Russians. Democrat told us that Trump was a puppet of Putin, and that was the collusion. And remember what Trump said of Putin and the Ukraine? How could Trump be so bold? Back in October, the State Department warned that anyone in the United States or elsewhere doing significant business with 39 Russian companies, government organizations tied to defense and intelligence sectors could be hit with sanctions starting early next year. And this list was in response to sanctions that President Trump signed earlier in August. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, Trump, boldness against Russia in what he's been doing, what he did during the campaign, since the campaign, it's like, where do you get this collusion? He punished Moscow for its actions in Ukraine, offering leftist Democrats the bone of punishing Russia for its supposed interference in the 2016 elections. Now, this was not just a symbolic move like Obama closing the Russian diplomat offices and expelling Russian diplomats. President Trump's move hit the Russians where it really hurts, which is in the economy. That's the difference. Financial Times reported this. Russia's top banker said potentially far-ranging new U.S. sanctions would, quote, make the Cold War look like child's play, end quote, if implemented next year. Herman Greff, chief executive of Sberbank, told the Financial Times that the possible U.S. sanctions against oligarchs and the state-owned corporations would be irrational if they went as far as excluding state banks from the SWIFT payment system. So he's talking about the move that President Trump made in October, the puppet of Putin, right? That it impacted 39 major corporations in Russia, that their number one economist says, man, this could be bad news, big time for us. Delusions. That's what the left have. They have these delusions that Donald Trump's going down. I had a guy, he sent me a thing. He says, Kevin, I heard Donald Trump's going to resign on January the 20th. It's like, are you out of your mind? There's no way Trump resigns. No way, no how. That's like saying, oh, he's a warrior and he's going to suddenly leave the gladiator pit. No, you'll have to kill him and drag him out of the gladiator pit. He's not leaving. Guys, learn that we're in a different phase here. Anyway, I'd mentioned this Herman Greff guy who says that the sanctions that Trump proposed in October are big time. Well, here's what John Sobieski wrote. He says, memo to Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat out of Virginia, and Representative Adam Schiff, the Democrat out of California. Adam Schiff is the worst politician. He's worse than Schumer and Pelosi together, seriously. He says, if President Trump is colluding with Russia, he has an odd way of showing it. He unleashed America's energy resources, most recently in Alaska with Anwar, which puts downward pressure on oil prices, which is the only thing Putin's Russia has to sell. Then he revives missile defense, including a pledge to Poland to deploy missile defenses there. Now, if you guys aren't aware, the Polish people are deathly afraid of Putin and Russia invading them. Now, he goes on to say this. Now he has announced plans to reverse the policy of the Obama administration, which stood silently when Putin's Russia annexed Crimea, attacked Ukraine, and sell the uranium's lethal defensive weaponry, including anti-tank missiles designed to destroy Putin's Russian tanks in the hands of separatist rebels. President Trump is expected to announce his approval of a plan to sell anti-tank missiles to the Ukrainian government, a move that would mark a significant escalation in lethal U.S. military support for Ukrainian forces battling Russian aligned forces in the border region, for State Department sources tell ABC News. Now, here's the reason why that's a big deal. Because there are times when we sell, quote, non-lethals to countries, and so we can get around, we're not really supporting them. We sell them, this, that, and the other. We said no, because Barack Obama wouldn't sell them lethals. Now, Donald Trump says no. They want to defend themselves. We'll sell them product. The sale of anti-tank missiles, which could possibly include U.S.-made Javelin systems, provoked a strong reaction from Russia, saying, quote, it crossed the line and could threaten to derail Trump's calls for better relations with Moscow. Now, that's the puppet Putin, right? The puppet of Putin, selling Ukraine, Crimea, weapons to fight, and essentially saying to Putin, what are you going to do about it? Now, you want to know why Trump can say that? Arming the enemies of Russians, and he can say that. I'm no foreign policy expert, but that's not what a puppet does. Sell military hardware to the enemy of his puppet master. But the reason why Trump can say that is because he knows Putin has nothing to bargain with. Nothing. The U.S. economy is our strength. I got to leave it there.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.